Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to WCS America. We are in the middle of Group G. Actually, we're going on into our last series of the night. It's going to be Huck versus Sen in a pretty compelling set of series we've been seeing out here tonight.
That's right. It's been really back and forth. Of course, if you miss any of the games here, you can catch them at youtube.com/official MLGSC2. Everything we do here at MLG is on our YouTube channel for free in 1080p quality.
So now you can link your friends. Hey, there was this really hilarious point where there was a stalker that was stuck in a prison for an entire game, and then Huck frees him and then puts him back in his prison until the GG comes out.
That's right. It may even make play of the day. Of course, we do those every day. Take the best play of yesterday's games and put them up there. I think we're going to see one, a really great play that Polt did. Should be coming up pretty soon from yesterday's games. But going forward, today we've seen Crank just absolutely destroy this group, going 2-0. Actually, then 2-1 against Sen. He did lose that second game. We went for a timing attack. But Crank, of course, being the first person to advance to the round of 16. Sen taking out Capoche, but then losing to Crank, put himself in the final place. Huck losing to Crank, but then taking out Capoche. So now our final match is a rematch between, sorry, not a rematch, a new match between Sen and Huck. The winner of this will advance to the round of 16 alongside Crank. The loser will fall down to that challenger division.
And so this is going to be our loser-winner series, I guess would be, because we first have the winner,
Final
then we
series.
have the losers. Final series.
Final series of
well,
the
yeah,
day.
that's just oversimplifying things here.
We don't want people to understand what's going on.
No,
here.
not at all. This is Starcraft. You're not supposed to understand what's going on. That's how I still do something. That's what commentating. I'm supposed to make it seem like it's really complicated, but it's not. It's actually really simple. Anyway, guys, it's going to be our first map here. It's going to be Whirlwind. And let's get this game underway. Both our players are ready. Yep. Okay, cool. So let's get this game loaded. And meanwhile, go to a nice little map introduction here to show you how pretty Whirlwind looks, as if you were a plane or Phoenix or an Overlord.
That's right. All those 3 units can fly around this map fairly quickly, except for the Overlord. And flying units are actually very popular on Whirlwind because of how big of a map it is. And of course, flying units can usually go a little bit faster and skip all that terrain.
All right, guys. So let's take a look at our players and positions on the map. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner, our blue Protoss player from Team Evil Geniuses. It is Huck. And spawning up here in the top left-hand corner from Team Gamma Bear, whose emblem is a huge shouting bear. Can he be as fierce as one? It is Sen. Very nice camera play there. I was very impressed.
I do what I can. I'm no Rotterdam, but I do what I can.
Maybe you absorbed a little bit of that through osmosis or whatever that means.
I've been trying. I have been trying. Huck, of course, pylon in his right by his nexus. Whirlwind's a map where it's pretty standard to put that the first pylon right by your base because early aggression isn't that common on this map. So everyone's like, you know what? We don't need to get that wall up super fast. What we need to do is, of course, just get as much money as possible, as soon as possible, get the probes all mining. Of course, 6 pools and early pools are sometimes happen on Whirlwind because of the scouting difficulties of finding your opponent. But against a very early pool, it's actually better to have that pylon back by your main because then your probes can protect it as well. So pretty much the go-to opening on Whirlwind is get that first pylon right by your nexus.
And in a map like this large, back when we had Tal'Darim Altar, we learned that actually going for a 6 pool is not as all-in-ish as it would seem. As long as you don't pull your drones, you can get in there and actually zone your Protoss opponent to the point where they really take about as much damage as you've done to yourself in going for that very early 6 pool. So, but with the gateway timings that we've been seeing coming out here from Protoss, I don't think, we'll be seeing any more 6 pools coming out, but still a fun build to yell about.
Sen notices his opponent went Nexus first, so he's going to go ahead and get a 3rd hatchery before a pool. A nice little opening here. We saw him use this against Capoche as well. That time it was done a little bit blindly, but this game he knows exactly what Huck is doing.
That Overlord, of course, of Sen, as we noted before, incredibly fearless Overlord. Sees the Photon going down. He's probably going to charge at it, and then very last moments as the Photon Cannon comes in, is going to walk away. Because for some reason, Sen loves to do that.
Overlords have many eyes, and he's just staring at that photon cannon. Now
He's got to make sure he sees every single side of it. He's going to draw it later, actually, so he's just making sure he gets the right perspective. And then he's got to go grab his little sketch pad, use his little claws, and sit there and draw it. Actually, I don't know if you know this, Carbot is actually an Overlord.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Ever seen a picture of him?
Yes.
Oh. Damn, I was trying to...
Maybe he was in a skin. We actually, if you go to our YouTube channel, there's a lengthy interview of him. Not like lengthy like a full movie, but it's a pretty in-depth interview. And he actually is a very interesting person, so if you want to check that out. Yeah.
Carbot, the movie.
Of course, it's for free, 1080p quality, youtube.com/official MLGSC2.
And of course, if you haven't seen Carbot's animations, go check him out. He's got
Yes.
some really hilarious stuff. Actually makes Zerg not look creepy and disgusting, and actually makes them look incredibly cute and cuddly and fun.
Oh, the probe. He's going to sneak right behind the Zerglings, but the Zerglings have spotted him. They turn around. A little bit frustrated, beaten, juked. They're going to try to run that probe down.
Nobody gets by Zergling. They are incredibly aggressive units.
They are. Like, all they had to do is see that probe out the corner of their eye, and they immediately went to try to rip the shreds.
I mean, think about all the rest of the Zerg army. The rest
Oh,
of them developed some sort of spitting. But Zergling, no, they just like to bash their heads against things. That's just how incredibly aggressive they are. They have so much rage, they can't even spit something at you. They just
No.
have to bash their rage-filled heads.
Huck taking out one Zergling. The probe with the assist, letting his Zelt two-shot it.
Unfortunately, assists don't count in this game.
No. Overlord comes in, sees what it can see, which is actually nothing.
Sees the Forge, though.
Let's see what Huck is up to. Huck's still only on 2 gases. Chrono boosting the warp gate. Chrono boosting the Forge, excuse me. Chrono boosting the Forge a second ago. Going for the +1 attack. Now he's chrono boosting probes. I wonder if we'll see some mass gateway play out of him. No, we're not going. Not with all these additional gases heading up. Just looks to be playing defensively right now, but isn't teching quite yet either. What's this probe up to? It's being sneaky.
Yeah, he is hanging out here over at the top right-hand corner player base, but not actually doing anything just yet. He's that guy who looks a little bit shifty before he does something weird. In Zelda's Majora's Mask, he was the guy in the mask who's just about to rob the bomb lady.
I see the build Huck's doing. This is his mass sentry attack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he goes at the 4 gases, and then the Zerg doesn't think he's going to hit a timing, but he just gets a ton of sentries and uses the fact that his force fields are amazing, gets in there, and tries to do as much damage as he can.
Now, is he going to use the recall ability of the Mothership Core to try and pressure as much as possible, but not lose the entire army?
I think that's definitely going to be part of his plan, where he may use time warps in conjunction with the force fields to make his army a little more cost-efficient. He already has 1 proxy pawn at the top right. Moving in to try to set up another, but Sen is so on top of it, his Zerglings are going to not let any pylons get any closer to his third base.
Getting +1 range weapons, so looks like Sen, for the most part, loves his Roach Hydra builds.
Oh, losing that probe. Huck is actually probably... Yep. As soon as he lost that probe, he knew he couldn't make this tech be a game winner. He's just going to pressure with it. Resuming probe production, he's going to take a 3rd Nexus behind his aggression. And this is the case where, like you said, he's going to be using that recall to escape out if needed. Of course, with the warping point so far away from Sen, trying to make this attack a game decider is not really something that's viable, because just now is he really starting to get a closer location.
A lot of roaches coming out here for Sen as well. He's going to be trying to get ready for this push. 10 roaches out already. We have 8 more on the way. But +1 range weapons is a little bit far off.
Oh, that Overlord wasn't... You know, Huck's not even going to care about that Overlord. Just wants to try to get in there as soon as he can. But he sees the roaches on top of the ramp. He's going to back away, be happy taking out that Overlord.
Another Overlord falls.
And I would anticipate Huck should be moving out to take that 3rd base any second now. Of course, Whirlwind's a map that it can be very difficult to defend that 3rd base on because of how open the area between your natural and 3rd is.
There's actually a Zergling there to scout out that 3rd base, so it could be that as soon as Sen sees the probe go for that 3rd base Nexus, Sen might actually go in and try and rush as many roaches as possible. We could see 11 more roaches on the way here.
This is the same thing he did when he played against Crank on this map. Of course, Crank he had to cancel the Nexus once, but in the long run was able to get that up and stabilizing a very strong army. Unfortunately, Huck doesn't have those Phoenixes to keep constant tabs on his opponent. He also doesn't have any Colossi yet, but he does have Blink on the way, plus 2 weapons on the way, And combining force fields and blink makes Stalkers insanely efficient against roaches.
No Hydras just yet. Has got lair technology, did grab glial reconstitution, but we still don't see a Hydrogen coming out anytime soon.
I think
so he's going to be relying on primarily roaches, and against those blink stalkers, yep, that's going to be a very scary army for Sen to deal with. So many roaches scuttling their way across the map. Bunch of force fields do go down, but Huck's got a lot of sentries. He doesn't really have to worry too much. A bunch of beautiful force fields here are going to allow those Immortals to take out those roaches at maximum range.
Oh, no blink quite yet, but Huck doesn't need it. His force fields are so good. Time Warp even going down there to try to prevent Sen from retreating, but Sen has no intentions of retreating. Runs in there, focuses on one Immortal very quickly. Still no blink yet. Huck may have overextended when he tried to chase Sen's army.
No more force fields left here for Huck. He's going to have to try and retreat back to the natural. He might just be sacrificing this third base. It's still warping in, so he could cancel it.
Oh, I don't think he's going to cancel. He has almost as many units as Sen does on his side of the map, and they're all expensive units. Sen going to back away, try to get... Oh, nice force field there.
And there's the Nexus coming in here as well. There's only a couple of roaches, so Sen in a little bit of a tough position here. As all these roaches, going to have to pretty much sacrifice them. A couple of Zergling are to run in. Oh, actually more roaches pouring in here. He's going to try and target down this Immortal. Takes out one of them. There's only one Immortal left. The Photon Overcharge has been used on the Nexus, though. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That was the Time Warp. That's right. So there is no Photon Overcharge. Is he going to be able to get down this other Immortal? He does.
It takes it down.
And that's huge.
So many roaches went down in the process. Sen still maintaining about a 50 supply lead. Of course, that is all in roaches against Stalkers that now have +2 and blink. If Huck can rebuild some sentries and Immortals, he can have a very strong composition. But even without them, blink Stalkers are very good unless they're heavily outnumbered, and Sen may just have the numbers right here.
He's been in constant production of roaches. Once again, not going for that fourth base. He's trying his darndest to try and deny this third base. He doesn't want to make the same mistake that happened in the game against Crank. He can't let his opponent get that third base up and be on equal footing with him.
Oh, trying to pick at that cybernetic score. Very important building for Huck. Now going towards the third base. Huck puts together some great force fields, though. Sen is just killing whatever he can. Oh, that Immortal didn't even last more than a second.
And the roaches are now trying to deal with these zealots. There are a lot of forces out here. The sentries, though, are a little bit exposed, and they get taken out. There's nothing but Stalkers left. The Mothership Core is trying to do as much damage as possible, and it's actually got a pretty weak attack.
Oh, Huck's third base is going to be forfeit, but meanwhile, a warp into the main is kind of turning tables a little bit on Sen. But Sen, such a fast reaction, pulling the drone, sending roaches back to clean that up, and his third Nexus is going to fall.
Now Huck's in a bit of a bind. Look at the food. It's 172 to 77. Huck's stuck in his natural. Doesn't have that many forces out here. He's got one Immortal and 2 sentries. Sen taking a dominating position on this map.
Beautiful play by Sen here, pushing forward, saying, wait a minute, what am I doing? He has to come out if he wants to take a third base. And he's like, no, you know what? Let me just go ahead and kill him. Take down the cybernetic
I'll
score.
just take the gamble and see how much damage I can do.
Sen is so far ahead now, over twice his opponent's food, up a base as well. Huck doesn't have a good, or he's just rebuilding his sentry core now. His only chance is to really try to get some magical force fields to be insanely cost efficient. But of course, Sen, realizing that this could be a potential, doesn't want to max out on pure roaches, is starting to tech up to the infestation pit.
And a very wise decision here. He really just can't break this wall so efficiently with roaches. He's only one base ahead of his opponent, and it doesn't even look like he's going to grab that fourth base yet. I mean, he still hasn't moved any drones out to go do so. He's got a bit of bank here. He's got 195 in the food supply in the supply count, so it's not like he could really produce a whole lot more units. 16 roaches on the way, so I should really just kind of hold my words.
Coming out again for another invasion.
And double Hydrogen.
You know what? Why not get 2? You get both upgrades at once.
Both upgrades immediately.
With the amount of money he has, if he wants to make Hydras relevant quickly, that actually isn't a mistake. I think he does intend to get all those upgrades. Huck's still hanging out on 2 bases.
Checking the third base here for Huck.
You know, I'd love to see Sen just send a Zergling to check all the side bases, because if we look at, neither player has yet checked any of the right side of the map. And I mean, for Huck, it's not worth sacrificing a unit right now. But for Sen, you know, like, one of the only ways he can lose from this point is if Huck has a hidden base. And just as I say that, there goes that speeding. It's going to check to roll these bases on the right side. Probably just puts it on a patrol pattern to make sure Huck doesn't sneak a base over there.
Roach is coming in here, poke off one more Stalker. Huck just completely stuck in his base. Now he's got a lot of sentries. He's banking up a lot of force fields. He's got +3 on the way for his weapons, so his force will do a lot of damage. But is it enough to break through this huge Roach army? And then whatever Sen's going to have up right behind this Roach army. Because this Roach army is taking up a lot of food, so Sen's actually probably not too happy that it's still alive. Because he can't get those higher tech units that he probably wants.
Oh, a nice force field trying to prevent Sen from retreating while Sen's units are clumped up and only in one direction. This is the fight Huck could potentially win with great force fields and 5 Immortals, but Sen's not going to give him the battle. He says, you know what, I have 4 Vipers on the way, a couple blinding clouds, and I don't care how good Immortals are against Roaches. If they can't attack, they're not going to be very effective.
I believe Sen actually just targeted down one of his Roaches so he could force out one of those Vipers.
Assassinating his own units, sometimes the right decision. Taking a 4th base is Sen.
Throwing out a whole bunch of evolution chambers as well so he can use his Viper's consumability.
7 Immortals? Huck is not playing around with his anti-armored units.
The difficulty here is whether or not those 5 Vipers are going to be able to get that huge amount of abducts on those Immortals and make them completely useless.
I'm really curious to see if Sen's going to go for the abducts or if he's going to go for blinding clouds. You know, against this competition, either one of those abilities can be very useful.
Here comes Huck. He's got his huge army, and actually those evolution chambers might cause a problem.
Oh,
but
3
some
Immortals.
Amazing abducts there.
And now he's going to... Evolution chambers may be a problem unless he kills them himself and uses the Broodlings to be the front wave of his invasion.
A couple of more great abducts taking out all of the Immortals here. A couple of Hydras now starting to join into the ranks. Roaches here for Sen are actually being sectioned off beautifully. Huck's force fields once again live up to their name. Broodlings coming in here doing a little bit of damage, but not enough. Sen in a bit of a bind, but still Huck is way down in food.
The trust funds from Sen is kicking in now. 21 Hydras in production. Meanwhile, just trying to keep Huck busy while he can repopulate his forces. Vipers getting more energy on buildings. Now they're full of energy. They're ready to snag a couple more Immortals.
They're coming in here, actually throw down some binding clouds, and it looks like the Hydras are now starting to join the fray. They're going to go straight for those Immortals. The Immortals doing the most amount of damage to those Roaches, and now the Hydras have to engage the Stalkers. Stalkers flank forward. Who's going to win the battle? It looks like it's going to be the Stalkers. Even though Hydras do more damage, there's just way too many Stalkers here.
Of course, Stalkers versus Hydras, normally an even battle, but in this case, Huck had his spirit numbers, so he took that out. But Sen saying, okay, you passed the Hydra wave. Wave number 3 is 45 Roaches coming out here, pouring out in massive numbers. And Huck, he's broke. He has to GG.
Oh, wow, what a game. I thought Huck actually had a really good chance with that push. His force fields were so amazing. He was sectioning off that army so perfectly. But that fund, as we were talking about before, that huge trust fund that Sen was just building up was just way too much for Huck to deal with. I mean, you can kill 1 army, you can kill 2 armies, but can you kill 3 or 4? That's the question there. You have to be incredibly efficient with your army.
Huck was insanely efficient, but he was unable to get that 3rd base up to be able to replenish the losses that he had to replenish, because even if you're insanely efficient, if you lose a couple of units and you can't replace them and your opponent can, you're eventually going to be ground into dust.
All right, guys, so let's get on into game number 2, but quick commercial break beforehand, so stay tuned.